Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of Two Scoop News. I'm your girl Melanie Mullings, and thank you for tuning in. So now I'm going to be talking about climate change. Climate change, climate change, climate change. There has been many discussions around this topic. Check this out, guys.
The big question in Paris is, can the world's nations agree on a climate plan that will really make a real difference? David Sandalo is the inaugural fellow at the Center on Global Energy Policy at Columbia University, and he joins me now from Washington. I don't really want to make you feel old, but you've been a pioneer at this a long time, at many different government departments and at the White House. When you look at the context in terms of what you've been following, we've got oil scratching $40 a barrel. When you enter these climate talks today, how have things changed dramatically because of that?
Well, two ways. First, we've seen strong evidence of global warming growing over the past 20 years. You know, 2014 was the warmest year on record. 14 of the 15 warmest years on record have been in this century. And in the United States and around the world, just in the past year, we've had record droughts and record floods, which is exactly what scientists predict in a world in which heat-trapping gases are accumulating in the atmosphere. So, on the other hand, we have also seen a dramatic drop in the price of clean energy, and that offers hope for a solution to this problem. We've seen solar power, for example, drop in price by almost 85% in the past 5 or 6 years. We've seen wind power drop. So if we look at the potential for clean energy, I think there's a real possibility that we can mobilize economic forces and governments around the world to take on this epic problem of global warming.
If we turn to U.S. policy in terms of mobilizing the United States, you've been one of the first to say do not count on Congress for getting anything through. If we sidestep that, what can the president get done, and what are the U.S. goals you think there at the table?
Well, in the United States domestically, the president is already doing a lot with his existing authority under federal statutes. From the very first months of his presidency, he actually increased the strength of our fuel economy standards for vehicles, broke a 20-year logjam in that area. And just in the past year, he's put in place the first ever standards for emissions of heat-trapping gases from coal plants. So he's already using his existing authority. He's doing it extremely effectively. And then he's been a very strong and effective climate diplomat in the past year. He's worked with the Chinese leadership, the Brazilian leadership, and many other countries around the world to bring them together to take on this global challenge.
You know, you also in the last 10 years have turned your attention to China. You've pointed out that China is the world's largest polluter by, you know, a good mile here. The U.S. and the EU, you know, combined do not pollute as much as China. And yet you're hopeful. Why?
Well, that's exactly right, Paula. And by the way, you know, ironically, just in the past couple of days in China, we've had some of the worst local air pollution incidents that we've had in years in that terribly polluted country. I think that there is a real possibility that the Chinese leadership is going to take this issue on, fighting both local air pollution and global warming in the years ahead. You know, most of the steps that the Chinese leadership can take to fight the dirty air in their cities also helps to reduce heat-trapping gases. And there's been a lot of movement in that direction, a lot of political pressure in China for them to do just that.
You know, as you've been speaking, we've been showing a lot of the smog issues there in China. We'll discuss that a little bit later in our newscast. But, you know, you and I are of a certain vintage. We understand MAD, mutually assured destruction. Do you think these leaders are coming to the table and understanding that, look, we do finally need to come together with a vigor and an energy that we haven't seen? I mean, I was in Warsaw for the climate talks a couple of years ago. This was nowhere on the radar.
Yeah, but Paula, there's also mutual opportunity here. You know, by growing our economies with clean energy, we can create jobs and clean the air and avert the worst type of climate catastrophe in the years ahead. I think a lot of leaders around the world see that opportunity, and in Paris they're going to come together and work on how to do that.
Yeah, you certainly are one of the most optimistic and hopeful that I've seen on this issue, so hopefully your disposition will prevail through these meetings. Thanks so much for talking to us, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you again in the next few weeks.
Thanks, Paul.
And they're basically demanding like an end to fossil fuels. Those demonstrations started out actually pretty somber in the morning. There were a bunch of shoes laid out on Place de la République because the marches were banned, and so people were saying that their shoes were marching for them. I found that to be an incredibly moving sight, but it did sort of devolve over time, and the protests did get heated. Like I said, I think a lot of the climate activists were disappointed that that happened and actually had dispersed at that point. There were a lot of groups that were very much wanting to sort of get along with the police and obey that ban on public demonstrations.
And it's not unusual to see some more leftist elements, anarchy elements come in and overtake what is a purposeful demonstration by those focused on the climate in this case. You talk to somebody and have some sound from someone who wanted to speak to that, right?
Yeah, no, I think that that what's happening here is we've seen a number of heads of state giving speeches and sort of talking. I think there are a lot of activists who are sort of sick of all of the talk that goes around this, and like I said, they're looking for a very rapid advance out of the fossil fuel era. Like if we're going to meet the 2 degrees Celsius goal, which is essentially what these talks are about, limiting warming below that amount since the Industrial Revolution, we're going to have to move very, very quickly off of fossil fuels. And so I heard Ban Ki-moon really hitting that point home today and saying, we have to do this faster than we have been. So we'll see if this talk, turns into action. But that's what people here who are watching this closely are very nervously hoping that they do.
So now, hearing this story, it actually allows me to reflect upon God and how He used several different weather events to get man's attention. Like the story of Noah. Also, there's some other scriptures that show us of these different weather events. Here they are. Now the cycle of things in life won't change. We'll still have summer, spring, fall, winter. But there has been some disruptions, and we can say man has been a part of this. But not only reflecting on the different events that are occurring regarding our weather, it also allows me to reflect upon the plan God had for our lives. He wanted us to live eternally with Him and live life abundantly. But man played a part in disrupting that plan. The seed of pride was planted by the enemy, and we ate of that fruit. God did not stop there. He had a redemption plan. And you, we can be saved as long as we believe, we live the life He wants us to live, and do what is accordingly in His word. All that disruption, all that destruction, anything that had been broken can be mended, can be molded, can be restored. We just have to have an open heart and allow the Lord to come in. You guys, comment down below, what do you guys think about this weather, climate change? What do you guys think about it? Is it just a topic to distract us from the bigger picture? Or is it something that we really need to take into consideration? You guys know, thumbs up this video. Yes, and definitely subscribe if you haven't subscribed. We really do need the support, and we appreciate the support that we're getting right now. You guys, Melanie Mullings, thank you for watching 2 Scoop News, and take care now. He'll do it again. He'll do it again. Yes, He'll do it again. If you just take a look at where you are now and where you've been, but hasn't He